High vibration, sweet baby. So it is a new year. I'm doing a little bit of foresight work because I'm recording this before the new year. But in the last reading, before we walked through the 1-1 portal, I was getting this indication from Spirit towards the end of the reading that this is going to be the year of the Chariot for the collective, that we're being carried towards everything we've been praying upon, hoping for, and wanting, probably clarified in the last year, 2025, but for most of our life, these are things that are going back to like our inner teen, inner child, the wishes, the prayers, the wants, the needs, the manifestations of our truest self, the part of ourself that's always wanted these things and longed for these things. And this year feels like specifically the Chariot year for us collective. It's the year of the horse. Horse might be significant. Snakes might be significant. Cardinals might be significant. And we'll see what other symbols want to show up for us as we go through this reading. But really what I was feeling strongly towards the end of that reading was that as a collective, we're going to have to match the vibration of these beautiful things that we've always wanted in the way of softening, in the way of receiving, stepping into that receptivity mode, which comes from being in a place of softness. We're not going to fall into that safety of receiving when we're feeling like we need to be in hustle mode, we're rushing, our nervous system is dysregulated, we're hearing hurtful words, some things like, I don't know, people in your home slamming doors, feeling like you're in fight or flight all the time, being stuck in survival mode, struggling about finances constantly. These are things that we have to deal with here as people in the way society is. But there's 37 might be significant. There is a level of severity that some of us collective have existed in those states and in those vibrations. And that is going to decrease, if not diminish, for us in 2026. I am declaring it for us right here and right now. And if you receive it, and if you are claiming it for yourself, go ahead and drop a thumbs up or a comment. Just go ahead and interact and let me know that you're here with me. And in this new year, you know this is an energetic exchange. I'm happy to pull the cards, give insights and clarity. If these messages and readings have been at all insightful for you, I would just go ahead and like to extend that invitation that you show some appreciation and gratitude with a like or a comment. It does help. Moving forward, I wanted to pull some cards around how us as a collective are going to fall into that sort of softness, that space of internal and external safety. Because let's just be honest, it's really difficult to try to create internal safety when your external environment is chaotic and in disarray or extremely dysregulating. And vice versa. If you're trying to create an external environment while your internal world is completely in disarray or in fight or flight or in stress, it's very difficult. Our home environments might be significant for us. I think I've said this before in the past, but I'm going to emphasize it again here. I am a life coach. I'm also a professional model, and of course I pull cards. Clearly, that's why I'm here. But as a life coach, something that I was really aware of was just how interconnected everything is. Parts of our lives that are completely separate from other parts of our lives, for instance, career and I don't know, our support systems, maybe even our romantic relationships or our connection to a higher power. if that area is at all dysregulated, it can show up in our career or finances or our education. We don't always see how these two areas of our lives are interconnected or interwoven, but a lot of times it goes just primarily on how much energy, mental space, mental clarity we're able to give to all of the things that are priorities in our life. And even though a lot of these areas mean significant things to us, sometimes these areas can take up a lot more of our mental space, our physical energy even, just take up so much of us that we feel like we're very spread thin with the little energy we have to the other areas in our life. The reason I bring this up is because I do think that that is going to be a very big theme for us collective, and might be one of the ways that we have to balance our energy so that we can find more regulation and more inner balance to find that softness of receptivity. Home environment might show up with this in the space of how clean and tidy you are. People who are typically dealing with mental health problems find themselves struggling to keep their external environmental homes clean. But this could not even be about like tidiness, like laundry or dishes or whatever. This could also just be about like the energy you feel walking into the space. This is a space where somebody's been doing a lot of like brewing or crying or yelling. You'll feel that. Like you walk into a space and you're like, ugh, I don't know what it is about this, but I'm not loving it. It's just not for me. That's okay to know that, first of all, and there's probably good reason for it. So environment is going to be significant for you in some multiple ways. I am going to go ahead and just like call that now. I also feel like the fridge might be significant, and Spirit's almost telling me not to spoil it. Maybe something spoiled is part of it, I don't know, but like don't spoil it. Like you're gonna have an experience with a fridge, and you're gonna have this moment where you're just kind of like, I don't know, the pieces click, something clicks for you. But I overall feel like this is a moment where something really hopeful shifts for you, where you're like, hang on a second. I feel like a change of heart might show up for you. This might have to do with emotional distance, or just distance in general. Super interesting. But you might have like this very hopeful change of heart type of moment. And the biggest thing is going to be, what actions are you taking that are repeating cycles? This is not the year for that. 2026 is the year for you to be having a lot of forward movement, a lot of forward momentum. You know, of course, we work with a very gracious and loving spirit team that wants to continue to show us our best way forward at all times. But I'm starting to have this feeling of like your spirit team is kind of like, but enough of this going around in circles, enough of like this avoiding your true potential and avoiding the actions that you need to take in order for you to finally stop with this vicious cycle, it just really is a vicious cycle, it seems like. A lot of putting yourself into a maze of a journey that just should have been something very easy and smooth sailing. So some ways that you're gonna probably find more softness is by, not only paying attention to the actions that you're taking, but also recognizing that you have already broken a lot of cycles in your life, and whatever other cycles do show up for you are not there to throw you back into them and put you into like this spiral. It's for you to have this realization of, I actually can make different actions and take a different course in life. I do see a journey of hurtful words, divorce or breakups being very significant to your journey in the past. I don't see that being the case for your journey moving forward. What I do see is that talk and conversation about breaking up and splitting up or parting ways or just hurtful words in general may have belonged to cycles that you played in the past. I do see that being very much a part of your journey in the past. I will say that your softness cannot exist in that space. Your softness comes from a place of feminine energy. That means that you have to recognize those wounded parts in yourself that are afraid to speak kindly. And this is very interesting because it's actually becoming very clear to me how the reading that I did right before the 1-1 portal was very much about like having to look at yourself in times of heartache or times of trouble, conflict, or whatever. And I see this very much in the cards just being like, in order for you to reach your softness, you have to recognize what hurtful words were said in the past. What part did you play in some of the conflict? Maybe separating you from your goals, maybe you from other people, but more particularly, what were you doing and saying that was separating you from your higher power? You know, like when you really look at yourself as a child of God, as Source's creation, as a person inhabiting Earth in this whole grand solar system that we're experiencing, that takes a moment of pause, a moment of prayer, a moment of softness, a moment of surrender, and realizing that some of the actions or some of the ways that you talk about yourself, others, the ways that you think, so on and so forth, might be pulling you away from that very fact. That is your truth. That is, at the end of the day, the end all or be all. It's not like I'm a resident of the United States, I'm a entrepreneur. Like, those are not the titles that mean anything to us on a soul level. On a soul level, it's about recognizing who you are and where you come from, what you're made of, what you came from, and how are you talking to yourself and others in that way. There's a lot of softening that happens when you take full ownership and authority over how you use your voice and how you use your words, and allowing your voice and your throat space to be a tool for the divine instead of yielding it as something that can be a weapon or using it to create fear or confusion or be destructive in any way. I think that there's a lot of accountability that's going to take shape for you as you approach the idea of receptivity and softening, and realizing that healing your nervous system means healing the adjustments that you were making to living in dysregulation and living in disharmony and living in chaos and in confusion and in toxicity. You were not designed to operate in that way, and you adapted in order to survive your circumstances. But now you're going to have to adapt back. You have put yourself into, or you will be putting yourself into situations where you can be safe and you can be healthy and you can be happy. And how much are you the one not allowing yourself to receive that? Because you need to come back out of that fight or flight adaptive mode that you were living in. It's no longer required or necessary. I think that Mercury Retrograde is going to be very, very significant for the collective at 2026. I do know in particular it's going to be affecting the water signs more than other signs, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Keep in mind, through Mercury retrograde, you might be having a little bit more of a deeper experience with these retrogrades with the planet Mercury. So don't fear, though. More than anything, these are going to be 3 weeks, about 4.5 weeks realistically, of time for you to actually learn some very deep lessons that overall will be connecting you deeper to faith, to spirituality, and to your higher purpose and higher calling. As long as you are coming back to prayer, coming back to moments of stillness, and this is like whatever that looks like for you. Some people, this could be like a hike in the woods. Other people, this could be like at a temple. Whatever this looks like for you, finding a space of prayer is going to really allow you to come into a place of softness that, quite frankly, you were destined to fall into. Not only that, abundance in all forms will be able to take shape in this kind of softness. You won't have to pick and choose, is what I'm hearing. There's going to be some travel, and I do see like different locations with your relationships and with your partner. I see that this is going to be a very strong relationship. I see this as like somebody being like your co-pilot. Like I see, some really beautiful things happening in the future as far as your relationships go. I see a lot of distance as far as travel and experiences. There's a lot of growth that I think you and a partner may share. But I also do see like the reversal in distance as well. So distance might be closed in upon, two people might be coming closer together. This could be emotionally and physically. But I do see travel being very healing and very beautiful. Friends, oh my goodness. I do see that vacations may be a lot of fun, and a lot of things might grow from those trips and vacations. I'm gonna just say it. I think that you can expect a lot of beautiful things to happen on your trips. New ideas, new plans, new art, and all sorts of things might be conceptualized on these vacations. I think you can expect to have ideas around the family and growing your family, what that might look like for you. I see that you're heading in the direction of expanding your family tree. I see you're heading in the direction of, ooh, this feels very promising. I don't want to like oversell. I don't want to like, promise you too many things, but I can see that there's going to be a long-term commitment. I think you're going to travel with a partner. I think that there's a lot of beautiful things that you can expect to happen. I think that taking trips in particular with your partner is going to allow doors to open for the both of you, but it's also going to create a lot of curiosity around what comes next, what you guys can do together and in partnership. This is for sure a beautiful way that you can soften and receive. Working in collaboration and working in partnership, and this definitely, I'm just going to be honest, like this feels like power couple type vibes, more than like business partner, unless like you and your business partner are taking saucy little vacations together. I think that this is really going to be a time where you realize that you don't have to do things on your own anymore. It's time for you to be in a place of working in collaboration, but not only just collaborating with others, but being in partnership with somebody. And your idea of partnership might really change the more that you travel. And I think there might be some communication issues that you experience. I'm not even sure if this is going to be with your partner or just like you have trouble in some way communicating, or there's like an email that didn't get sent, or like something along those lines where you're going to have to rely on the help or partnership of someone else. And this experience is going to really show you like, okay, this person's solid. Like this relationship is really solid. Like I can depend on this person. And actually, not only that, I would not be able to grow if that had not happened, if this person was not a partner in my life. Recognizing where you actually might be falling short by trying to do everything by yourself. Could you imagine that? Holy moly. That it's actually maybe better to do things with somebody else than having to do everything by yourself. Hello, my hyper independence. So let's talk a little bit further about how we collective can soften into this new year. We don't have to do everything independently. That again is like a safety mechanism, a tactic that we use to convince ourselves that we're gonna be fine on our own. Hello, but fuck that fear. Okay, it will lie in your face. So whatever kind of emotional distance you're keeping from something, or even physical distance you're keeping from something, you're recognizing now that that was coming out of a place of fear. And staying in that place of fear is going to keep you emotionally dysregulated. Are you catching the theme? This year is going to be a lot about having to manage your emotions. In the past reading I just did, it was all about dropping out of your head and into your heart. That might be more of the work that you're really having to focus on around the time of 1/1. This isn't a test, or it wasn't a test. It was spirit set, like really giving you the full stage of free will. Spirit was like, here you go, this is your time, set your intentions, 3:33 on the clock. What's it gonna be? What are you about to do? Like, set the stage. What journey are we taking? And then Spirit's gonna guide you on whatever journey you intend out on, you set out on. Now, here's the thing. We make a lot of unconscious choices from fear, thinking that we're making choices that are going to keep us safe, and we're playing it smart, we're keeping ourselves at a safe distance, etc., etc. But in more actuality, we're keeping ourselves in a comfort zone, and we're also probably more than likely keeping ourselves in a cycle of familiarity or a cycle of toxicity that's just more common and more familiar to us than the latter. So notice your cycles and notice there's like this weird energy around eating and the fridge. Something about repeating cycles. This might have to do with food, eating, how you're taking care of yourself, and the way that something happens around a fridge. There's going to be a moment with a fridge. I'm telling you, something interesting is going to happen that is going to make it very clear for you that you're having a change in perspective, a change of heart, a change in something, and you're like, I was afraid of, maybe you're going to have to see what you were afraid of. Like, this is what I was afraid of. Or it's going to be this moment of, I made this choice out of fear. Holy shit. Like, I can't believe I did all this. I can't believe I was like, I was really so convinced by my fear. But the card says it will lie to your face. Fear will lie to your face, right? It will be that enemy that gives you all types of like sabotaging ideas, just lying to your face to make you afraid, to get into your head. And we are going to be trying to operate from the heart space, right? The head, the crown, if you will, is a masculine energy center. When we are trying to come into a place of softness, we're looking to come back into those feminine energy centers. That's the heart space, okay? That is the sacral space. That is the third eye. These are energy centers that bring us back into that feminine space. But you can't just like rely on one. It's all about bringing about balance throughout all of the energy centers. And that's truly how we operate, from a place of real receptivity and openness. But for now, we're going to be focusing, collective, on just moving out of the head and into the heart space, coming out of this overthinking, over rationalizing, or maybe even going the opposite way and going into some deluded thinking. Let's just keep it a buck, you know, like we can really throw ourselves off so majorly by putting all of our energy and our personal power into our head. And if we take a couple moments to bring that energy down into our heart space, we move with so much more openness, softness, integrity, kindness. And you can do this just by placing your hand over your heart and doing some deep breaths and focusing on feeling the breath move through your hand on your chest. And I can maybe do an audio for that as well to share with you soon. But taking care of your body is really going to show you what cycles you're struggling with, no matter where you've been on your journey. Something to do with like eating, sleeping, like the basic needs. And for a lot of people who are living in like chronic stress, fight or flight, dealing with PTSD, what have you, those basic needs are some of the first things to like go. They're some of the most challenging things to find stability or access to in certain environments. And so then when we're placed into more regulating environments, it can be tricky to have to literally readapt yourself and push yourself back into healthier patterns. And that's what I'm really seeing, is that to create even more softness and regulation, you're going to have to kind of put yourself into healthy patterns. So while 2025 was all about shedding and letting go of what toxic patterns and cycles we didn't need, we're going to have to replace those with ones that we do. So that means setting up some sort of structures and some patterns and some regularity into your life. This is going to help you be overall abundant. And I'm just seeing here in the cards, get over yourself, pull your shit together. You know, we want to enjoy our nights out and feel like we're living like rock stars, right? Like that's our Friday night. And then when, Sunday, Monday comes around and we have all these things, all these obligation, responsibilities, things that we like need in order to function and flourish in life. And we have to take care of all of it. And it's like, okay, rock stars still have to handle all of this too. And when it comes down to it, rock stars are glorifying a lifestyle that they rarely live. Nowadays, you have more performers who stick to structured regimens, who are up at 5 in the morning. Like, it's intense. And I remember when I was training for life coaching, one of my teachers said, do you want to be successful, or are you secretly happy with how little work you have to do right now? And that was like such a truth bomb, because it's like sometimes we're saying we want to do all the things and be super successful and attain all of these abundant, beautiful goals, but actuality, that means there's a certain level of work that we're going to have to put in to get to that, and we're kind of comfortable with the mediocre amount of work that we're putting in right now, so we don't push ourselves for it. I'm not saying to overwork yourself, right? Because we're coming into this place of softening and opening and receiving and not having to take the bull by the horns and pry doors open or whatever. Actually, the other day I had this analogy come into mind where it's like, I'm actually feeling like all the doors that I've needed to have opened for me. I trust and believe that when it's time for me to move from this space and into another, that the door will be open and ready for me when that's time. For now, I want to enjoy where I'm at. I want to enjoy this environment that I've created for myself. I want to enjoy the space that I'm in. And instead of trying to force open any doors, I'm just simply going to open the windows and let some more light in. That's where I'm at right now. And that's the idea of softening. It's like no more trying to force open doors, no more trying to bolt them shut. Now just stay in your space. Enjoy your space that you're in, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. And then open up those windows. Just let more light in. Let in more joy, right? This next card. It's dark and you can't see a fucking thing. Get your head out of your ass pronto. You are keeping yourself in a darker place than you need to when you don't give yourself the patterns and the structures and the environments that you need to flourish. And what you need might be very specific and individual than what other people need. Everyone's different and everyone functions differently. What your patterns are, what your cycles are, that's something that you need to do for yourself and figure out for yourself in order for you to reach what was destined for you. There's something to do with a communication issue that is making you have a hard time seeing the light in something. You might have an issue with either travel or commuting. You might have a car maintenance thing come up. Things might come up that frustrate you as far as like distance, moving location to the other, or just like literally being in a vehicle. But there's something here about, you kind of need to be the one to decide that you're going to make the best out of where you're at instead of constantly trying to force your way forward or force towards something. The car having issues or something with travel, like slowing, delaying, whatever might come up, try to come from a place of softness and recognize that maybe this is divine intervention, divine timing. Something here is being delayed or slowed or stopped for your best interest in a way that you might not be able to see. Remember that your path has been destined and laid out for you long before you could have even asked what you're supposed to do next. So just trust in that journey. Trust in where you're heading and where you're moving forward. I'm seeing that be fucking grateful. Shit could be so much worse. Your relationship is really something to be grateful for, and something that's probably like very secure and solid and stable, and I'm kind of feeling like might even be a lifeline. If there are anything blah, 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 if there's anything to do with travel or vehicle issues or commuting issues or something of that nature, I feel like your ride or die, they are really there. They shine a light on you. They always help you see how your path is destined, even in moments when you're like, I'm literally stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire. And they show you how important it is to be grateful for what you do have. And I'm feeling like you having a lot of gratitude, especially for this person who you clearly travel with, you create abundance with, who's a solid, stable partner for you. You're starting to understand how much there is to be thankful for and appreciative around that and sharing that. And gratitude in itself is one of the biggest ways to open up the heart space and experience more softness. So I'm seeing that, you might have to face something deep within yourself, a fear that probably has to do with family trauma, family lineage, creating a family, what your future family looks like, or maybe even why you created the family that you did, or something along those lines. And there's something very healing here. You're thinking about this. It's on your mind quite a bit. And you need a good fucking cry. Get the ugly cry on. Let that shit go. Your soul will thank you. Okay? So I really don't get any bad feelings from this reading. There's one more card. Oh my God, it's so funny too. I can't wait to share that with you. But like overall, like I said, you're going to have things show up in your life, bumps in the road, communication issues, travel issues, driving issues, normal life shit is going to happen. You can almost guarantee that, right? But what you can't always guarantee is that you're going to be the kind of person who makes the right choices and takes the right actions that normally people would have been like, what? The old you has a pattern of doing this, this, and this, and you just did that? That's crazy. Or maybe, you're realizing how the way that you communicate needs to be a lot softer and a lot kinder, even to yourself, especially, if you're doing that to other people, like recognizing, okay, I need to look inward. I need to really face whatever is keeping me from this soft, loving, ooey gooey heart space that I so deserve. So if you've had a fear of looking at that might be what you need to look at. And if you haven't looked at it, it might be a little scary to face those fears of what's been keeping you so closed off, or feeling like you can't really open up your heart space or just be in that softness because you're so used to fight or flight or survival mode. But you're going to have a moment where you realize that the patterns that you've been inflicting on yourself and the lack of healthy patterns and structure in your life is keeping you in a darker space than you need to. And thank fuck for the relationships in your life that are solid, that are growing, that take you forward. Thank goodness they are there, because you have a lot to be grateful for. There's a lot of things that you can be grateful for in spite of all that life shit that happens and shows up. This reading is very interesting. I'm very curious to see how much of this transpires and in the manner in which it will. So yes, being in a safe place means that you're going to feel the safety to experience your emotions. You're going to finally feel like you can express yourself. You can let out those tears, sad tears, happy tears, whatever it is, let it out. That is regulating. That is healthy. Holding things in, suppressing things, repressing things, resentment, those things can create real problems, chronic problems, long-term mental health conditions. And by being in the place that you are going to be in throughout this upcoming year, you're going to experience a lot of healthy, regulating, cathartic release by experiencing your emotions on a full capacity and being in the kind of place where I see a lot of happy tears of recognizing where you're about to head and what you're going into. I feel like once you have that moment, maybe by the fridge where it clicks for you, like, holy shit, I'm just being a little bit of a fearful, frightened person right now. I need to let go of this fear and just do what I have to do, stop with this cycle or whatever it is. I need to get better patterns. I need to do my thing. That moment is going to open you up to realizing how much of your beautiful, abundant, groovy goals in life are really right around the corner and really coming into fruition, being birthed into life. And after you've gotten your good cry, stop fucking whining. No one wants to listen to that shit. Complaining makes you weak. You have the strength to change your world, so do it. Okay, now here's what's funny about these two cards coming out one after the other. So the first one was cry. You need a good cry. But then the next one is, okay, but now stop whining. Healing and feeling your emotions is very different than complaining and focusing on the negatives, focusing on what you don't have, focusing on all the things that, are just not worthy of your attention, when you have all of the reason in the world to be grateful for a lot of different things. This is a huge way to step into softness as well. When you come into this place of recognizing gratitude and things you can be grateful for, you stop feeling so defeated, like you have all this reason to complain, when in reality, as soon as a horrible situation comes around, what happens? We have a whole shift of perspective. We realize, wow, I should have been so grateful for this, this, and this, or the way it was when this, and this happened, or when I was able to talk to this person, or so on and so forth. We don't have to wait for tragedy in order to get from this space of complaining and negativity and bad outlook to being grateful, to being appreciative, to being present in the moment, to showing up for ourselves and for those who need us and who love us. You're going to have a lot of things that you need on a physical, tangible level. So your internal world is showing you things that you need on an emotional and spiritual and mental level. You're going to be asked to look at these things so that you can show up soft and receive things in your life that you've always wanted, but your emotions, your mindset, or your spiritual beliefs might have been limiting you from in the past. So when you are able to stop whining and realize, okay, your circumstances have yet again changed, and you're now in a place where you can have the better cycles, patterns, habits. You can take care of yourself. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to operate in dysregulation. And that does come with time. And that does come with a lot of, looking inward. Now you're seeing, okay, where am I blocked? Where am I fearful? What am I dealing with when all those other things used to be coming from my external environment? Now what things am I bringing internally into my external environment that are negatively impacting my life? and keeping me from being soft, being open, being receptive to even more beautiful blessings in my life. So this is really going to be the biggest thing for you, is realizing like sometimes it's all about perspective. What do you need to be grateful for? What things are you actually doing out of fear that you might have been convincing yourself was out of protection? Because that is still an armor. That feeling of needing to be armed and guarded and fearful is going to keep you in a place of being unable to stay fully, truly open and receiving what is really meant for you. I always heard this quote, like, everything you always prayed for was on the other side of your fears. So this is what I'm seeing might be the hindrance for your softness, what fears you might be facing. You might struggle to compromise, to forgive, and work things out. I mean, we kind of talked about this. I think you're going to be taking more accountability around this, realizing that hurtful words are really just going to keep you in a cycle and disrupt how regulated you are. An air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius might be significant. Commitment. Have you been fearful of commitment? What things are you committed to? What things do you need to be more committed to? And what things are really requiring you to be serious moving forward? And also, goal digger. Are you bringing an energy of using or someone using you into the equation? Recognizing reciprocity, which is really huge, because if you're really trying to receive beautiful blessings from above, reciprocity has a lot to do with what you're giving to those around you and how you're able to give and receive from those who are taking care of you and loving you in your life. So a lot of things that can really put you on a path towards opening and receiving and blessings. Don't let these like 4 horsemen of closing up your heart space get to you, okay? Being able to communicate is going to be significant. Recognize that you're going to have a few Mercury retrogrades that come up this year, and they might show you some issues with communication, might interrupt travel, so on and so forth. An air sign might be significant. Talk about commitment might create some kind of turmoil, or just the ways in which that you're committing to things in your life might have created challenges for you. And of course, again, bringing the energy of using others or using things. Remember, it's important to love people and use things, never the other way around. All right, my friends, I'm hoping that that gives you a little bit of soul food for thought about how to just come out of your head and into your heart to really be in this soft place of just being open to your journey, being open to miracles showing up for you in your life, being open to blessing coming into your experience, because you're taking aligned, beautiful actions on a soul-led, purposeful path. So, with that being said, I'm sending you all my love in, and I will talk to you soon.